Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Enlightening Your Way. I'm your host, Nancy Lombardo. We are airing live simultaneously on Lilydale Blog Radio Show, and of course, here on the Lilydale Assembly Inc. official page. I am a year-round resident here at Lilydale and the president of the Church of Living Spirit, which is an independent spiritualist church here in Lilydale. I'm a military veteran, retired police detective, fitness and yoga instructor, and wellness is my passion. My show is a combination of my many life experiences that feature various topics and guests to help enrich one's mind, body, and soul on your pathway to healthy living. My Facebook page is Wellness with Nancy Lombardo, where my motto is protecting and serving your well-being. And this week's special guest is C.L. Thomas, and our topic is mediumship, spirit, art, and healing. C.L. was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and after graduating from Belmont University, she moved to Nashville in pursuit of a career in communications and photojournalism, where she lived for 15 years. C.L. travels widely as a fine arts photographer and writer, exploring various afterlife research, metaphysics, folklore, and paranormal events. She is the host of the Gateway Radio Show and Small Town Tales podcast. C.L. is a content writer for entertainment and the author of 2 books, Speaking to Shadows, and her latest book, Dancing with Demons. And she is currently residing in Las Vegas, where you are tonight and this evening. So welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Thank you so very much for being here. Thank you so much. We met doing a mediumship course, and, I was kind of fascinated with you because you're so young and you're writing, you're putting these books out, and I was like, gosh, I need to get to know this girl. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself that I didn't quite have in your bio?
Oh gosh, I think you pretty much summed a lot of it up. I do a lot of gallery work, not mediumship galleries, but artwork. So I'm a painter and photographer. I love to have shows and things like that. I go on a lot of adventures and just explore kind of off-topic things that people wouldn't travel and necessarily do. Like I like to investigate different cultures and how they incorporate the spirit world and healing.
Yeah, I love that one time you put on Facebook a month or so ago, guess where I am now? I have no idea, because you definitely travel the world for sure, no doubt. So let's go back, and when did you first realize that you actually had mediumistic abilities?
It started very young for me. I was seeing ghosts. It's actually my earliest memory.
Ghosts or spirits?
Spirits. So it started with me seeing my grandmother, who I never even met. I was probably 3 or 4 years old. I saw a spirit of a male in my house at a very young age like that. Sorry, my cat. And it went on and on. And I had a grandmother at the time who, before she passed when I was very young as well, but before she passed, she kind of taken me under her wing and told, kind of explained to me that these are spirits that you're seeing. They can't hurt you. Just talk to them like they're normal people, that kind of thing. So growing up,
Was your grandmother a medium?
yeah, I didn't know that at the time, because I didn't know that kind of language back then. But the story is with a lot of mediums that growing up, they were fearful and afraid because they're seeing things that aren't there. That was not the case for me at all. It was the total opposite. It was more of, and I think it's because of my grandmother explaining it to me so young. It was more of a comforting thing for me.
Right. You said that wasn't the language back then that you were used to. So what were you raised and how did you perceive any of that?
So my mother was Jewish. My dad was Catholic. Both of them, they didn't really want to talk about the spirit world at all and kind of just played it down. My grandmother, however, I think she did have those abilities because she explained to me what was going on and how to deal with it at a very young age. But as far as spirits and stuff, my mother and father would never really discuss that with me at all. And quite frankly, they had a lot of problems between them. So they weren't really paying a lot of attention to me anyhow. I was just kind of just there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Um, I know many mediums are artistic because so right-brained. So when did your artistry, have you always been able to paint and have you always been artistic?
I have ever since I could hold a pencil.
What kind of artistry do you do
So
when
I
you
do
have your
sculpture
galleries?
work.
I'm
I
sorry?
do sculptural work. I love working with pottery and sculpture, and plaster. I do a lot of oil painting, um, and a lot of sketching, and I work a lot with photography and graphics.
That's cool. That's way cool. And I know they say many mediums are either it's generational or it's from a trauma based. Yours sounds more generational, especially with your grandmother, which is way cool. So I'm glad you were able to talk to her about it. So when did you start to realize there was something to it and the wordings and spirits and that and other realms?
Probably high school, I guess. And it started actually with a really good friend of mine. Her sister passed away when I was very young, and I ended up having a couple of visitations from her when I was, she was showing up in my dreams, and I would kind of sense that she was there. And then not only that, it's happened with several different places that I've been in at that age. And I was running sports and was not focused on ghost or anything like that at all. And, if I would talk about it at school, the other kids kind of made fun of me a little bit. So I knew right away that that wasn't the norm. I shouldn't really discuss this, maybe. Maybe it's not a good idea. So I kind of forgot about it. I actually went to Nashville to go to med school.
Oh,
And
really? Wow.
yeah, I was going to go to Vanderbilt Medical University. And it was then that it really picked up. I ended up living in a house, and I know that the spiritualist community doesn't believe in haunted houses or anything like that, but I was experiencing a lot of paranormal activity, which ended up being more spiritual activity, and it just woke everything up again.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
I met a whole bunch of people around the same time that were mediums and they were into Wicca and things like that. And it kind of just opened an entire new world to me.
Right, right.
Sorry, my
Your
cat.
cat's just all, your cat just has to be right there. The great thing about being live.
So sorry.
There's a bunch of we have cats all over Lilydale, all over Lilydale.
um,
So
so
is that when you decided to start delving further into it, like taking classes or just learning more?
no, actually no, because Nashville is very Baptist. They were very closed off to the whole idea. And at the time, I was going to a little youth group kind of church. And, I tried to talk to, because I didn't really know at this time who to talk to, you
Right.
know, because my beliefs really didn't align with the Wiccan beliefs. And I don't have anything against any different denominations or religions, whatever it is. Um, but, my ideas just didn't line up with them as far as the spiritualism. Um, so, they were more into the paranormal, ghost hunting, that kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, I like to do that as a hobby, but I'm really not. And, for me, it was more spiritual and I
Hmm.
didn't know where to go. So I tried talking to the people at church. And of course, what they said, that's of the devil. Uh, ended up leaving them over that. It wasn't until just the last few years to where I was able to find people who were more aligned with it and kind of help me figure out what do I do with this.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, that's such a great point to make. Many people who have these abilities, even younger age, they have no idea what to do with their abilities and how am I going to use it? How can it be beneficial to everybody and yourself?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, that makes total
Exactly.
sense. That's a big thing that people like about Lilydale. I'd have to say it's one of the things they always say about us when they come through the gates that they're with like-minded people. Because it's not too often you could find a community like this of like-minded people, of mediums, of spiritual healing, just the whole package all in one little tiny little hamlet. So I totally understand that for sure.
It's very hard to find that if you really don't know what you're looking for, which I didn't. I didn't know where to start. I just knew that I had this thing going on. A whole lot of other people out there have it going on too, but they're reading tarot cards, they're, just stuff that, just to earn. Some people are just in it for the extra bucks. Some people it's just a Friday activity, fun thing that they're doing, ghost hunting on a Friday night. That's become a big thing in that world. And for me, it just goes so much deeper for that with me. It's more of, I feel like if you're seeing spirits, there's a reason for it. You have a calling and you should be trying to explore how to fulfill that calling. So, and that's been kind of my journey from the last couple of years. I've been trying to figure out where do I fit in and how can I help? How can I help the spirit world? And how can I help people around me using this ability?
I love that. I mean, I love that because you were probably wondered since you were 3 years old, why do I have this ability when you knew most people didn't?
Hmm.
But I do always tout, because I was taught this myself through Patricia Price and many of the other mediums, that we can all be mediums if we choose to.
Hmm.
It's a matter of tapping in, it's a matter of developing, it's a matter of unfolding. But once you allow yourself to unfold and have these abilities, yeah, what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to help other people? You're exactly right about that.
Hmm.
Um, did you always used to, or have you ever combined your artistry with mediumship, or did you just learn about spirit art?
It's funny you asked that because I am developing as a spirit artist. Because for me, the mediumship is there's another guy that I'm really good friends with who he's a medium as well, but he tends to hear more than actual visualize, where I can actually visualize more than hearing. So what I've gotten a lot of times what I've been having a hard time with is getting a message for people because it is so visual for me. It's hard for me. I really had to fine tune and kind of learn what is it that you're showing me. It's almost like learning this whole entire spirit language. But
It
um,
is that.
and
It's totally that.
we talked, and he led me into the Joe Shield
Hmm.
classes. Everyone knows who that is in the Liddell. Um, and he's a really good spirit artist. And that just opened up an entire door. It was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should start sketching this stuff. So I've been sketching what I see, and probably 7 out of 10 times, the image that I'm drawing does resonate with the sitter. It's really crazy. That's what I see. A lot of times I don't even get a message. I'll just show them and then I'll jot down like just random words that I'm getting as I'm doing this. It could be a name, it could be like army, whatever. And it'll resonate with the person.
And I've
So,
seen like some of your drawings, and they're not just stick people. I mean, they're legit faces, drawings, beautiful spirit art for sure. And it's interesting to me how you didn't even realize what that was, but it is another way of having to develop that and understand it, and what's the message of that besides seeing the face, and what do they want to
mhm,
portray to your sitter? You're exactly right about that. So I love
yeah.
that.
What
Um,
I'm learning is just little symbolism too that I pick up right away. And it happens so fast. So that's the challenge is trying to get down as much as you can. Because it seems like you only have, when the spirit does come in, it's so fast, you
it's
know?
so fast. Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but it's so fast. So I'm trying to get it all down as fast as I can. But I'll see stuff like I did one for my friend Scott, and um, I saw like a stack of books and it was 4 books on top of each other. And he said, oh, well, the number 4 resonated with his mother. So it was
Oh,
just little stuff in there. It was like a birdhouse. It was all stuff that, at first I felt silly putting it down because it makes no sense to me. So I saw like a birdhouse. I saw a specific tree. I think it was like an oak tree or no, it was a maple tree. And I heard that as I was sketching it out, maple. I don't know why, but that's the big tree that was in his yard, and his mom had a birdhouse in there.
Oh,
So it's
that's so
all
cool.
random stuff that I would have never. So it was kind of like learning, okay, just trust spirit, put that down. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it doesn't matter because it's going to make sense to the person I'm doing it for.
Exactly. First of all, it's not supposed to make sense to us for sure. And trust. I mean, it's the hardest thing to do, to trust when you're getting just bizarre sometimes information like there's no way they're going to understand this. And then you put it out there and they're like, yeah, that makes sense to me. And it almost happens every time. It's just crazy the way that happens.
Yeah.
So I totally get that for sure. Totally
I
get
feel like I just went into a big long thing for, did I even answer the question? I'm sorry. I just
No, I mean, it's good because we're not, many people that watch this, they want to understand mediumship. They want to understand, and they need to understand that it's something that needs to be developed over years for sure. Years. It's not just I sit down one weekend and take a class and I'm a medium. That's not how it
no,
works.
it's not it. Mm-mm.
And you're right. It is recognizing the signs, the symbols. I've seen so many different mediums talk about so many, well, this sign means this to me individually to themselves. And you're right. For you, figuring out what signs mean what to your sitters, it's all different. It's all
Mm-hmm.
different.
Yeah, it was very challenging at first to try to figure it out.
And I love that you're so visual that you can actually see it to draw pictures, because there's not a lot of people that are capable of doing that. And the fact that you're an artist and are capable to actually draw like that is just spectacular. Because I can't do that. I've tried to draw, but I draw whatever. I don't know what I draw, but I'm more just, I just feel. I feel and I sense. Um, Sometimes I can see it, but it's not like I can sit there and draw it like you can. So it's a very rare gift that you have. And I'm
Thank
happy
you.
that you're finding out about it and unfolding with it. So that's a good thing. So what can you tell us about the book that that you just published?
Dancing with Demons. It's a memoir about some experiences I had in Nashville when I first moved there. Um, so I come from a little bit of a broken home. And so when I went off on my own, I kind of had some problems that I had to work through. And I ended up living in this house that had a lot of paranormal activity going on. And it was just more me drawing that stuff out. But it took years to kind of figure it out. So it's more about me coming into mediumship, being waken up and realizing that there's an element of self-healing that comes with spiritualism. So there's a lot of paranormal people out there that like to throw around the term demons and demonic. They'll go into a haunted house and they'll think that there's negative entities and demons running around and all this sort of thing. And a lot of that I found through years of my own personal experiences. You're the one that's drawing that kind of energy in. You bring what you sow, you reap what you sow. So if you go into a situation and you're expecting negative entities and you're expecting to be fearful, that kind of thing, that's what you're going to get. Um, so for me, I had a lot of healing I had to do, and that's pretty much what that book is about. And it's about if you find yourself, if you feel like you're being oppressed or that sort of thing, you need to take back your own energy and do your own healing.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that that's the way they refer to the terms that, and we don't particularly believe in bad entities,
Right.
because I think in the long run it's lost souls.
Mm-hmm.
Souls can get lost, people can get lost, and I think that's part of healing, that's part of helping even the lost souls that just, hey, where am I supposed to be at?
Right. It's an
You know?
interesting thing to think about too, because if you pass away and you have like a lot of mess going on in your life, could you carry that over to the other side? And that could be like the negative entities that these paranormal investigators are tapping into somehow. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're right. I mean, I guess bottom line, none of us ever really extremely know until we get there. You don't. There is a lot of question marks, surely.
Yeah.
And I think the good part of mediumship is that sometimes being able to communicate with these people and hearing the other side and realizing what they want to portray back. And most often and almost all the time, it's always either I'm sorry and the love.
Hmm.
It's always about
Yeah.
love and to let
You're
them
right.
know that
Yep.
you're loved. It's never about anything negative. Very rare. I mean, I can't even tell you I've ever heard a message that it's negative. It's always bringing love back to reassure who's ever left here that they're okay, no matter what
Right.
they went through on this earth plane.
But what's interesting though is that a lot of mediums in some of the classes that I've taken, um, they'll say things like, oh, they're afraid to tap into the mediumship world because they're afraid of tapping into negative energy. And then they'll claim that they're surrounded by negative attacks and this sort of thing. And I just don't believe that kind of stuff. I just believe that if you're drawing that to yourself somehow, bottom line.
So, how do you feel like spiritual healing has helped you with the demons in your life specifically?
It's, I'm it's
And I'm
me
not
being a
saying
good
demons as demonic, just
person.
because we all have things that we have to face in our life for sure.
Right. It's made me a much more, I'm a better person. I'm living my best self. To put it plain, that's as plain as you can get, I guess. I mean, I work out every day. I try to eat well. I try to help others around me. Um, I don't know. It's a lifelong journey to get to this point. It's like if you go into any public setting and somebody makes you upset. Everyone has met a person like this where they'll have a conversation with somebody and then they walk away and they're just totally upset and they'll say stuff like, oh, it messes up their entire week or their entire work with, all because of this one person. Well, you're choosing to react that way. I don't
Hmm.
care what that person's done or said. You're choosing to react that way. You have that choice, you know? So it's
Right.
just realizing little stuff like that. It applies to the spiritual side. It applies to just about anything.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Yes, me and you have a lot in common like that. We both like to run. We both like to take pictures. I don't paint like you do, but yeah, we have you ever caught anything unusual in your photo taking?
As
Like
far as spirits,
orbs, just spirits?
I have, yes. It's only happened 2 times. As a photographer, I've taken thousands and thousands of photos, and I've only had two that's come back as unexplained. The orbs, I really don't believe in orbs because even a tiny little droplet of water can reflect off of a lens and
Yes.
cause that in a photo. And I see it way too often where people are posting photos of supposed orbs and things, and they're always fingers or straps. There are bugs that fly through there. I catch this stuff all the time. It can be like dew, and it'll show up. If it's round, it's your lens.
Right,
But
right. So what have you caught, captured, and where?
in Salem, both times.
No way. Oh wow, I've been to
Yeah.
Salem. Hmm.
So, well, one of them was in Concord, Mass, which is not too far from Salem, and it's at the old it's called the Wayward House.
Okay.
It used to be owned by Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Hmm.
So I was there doing a documentary and I was on the property by myself. It's owned by the state. So I had worked out with them to go and kind of just photograph and do some things for the work I was working on. And I felt a presence there the whole time. And in the door, I took a photo because there's like a strange little arch that was built right as it leads into the doorway. And I thought it was kind of interesting. So I took a photo of that. And when I got the photo back, there's a actual image of a man standing there. I'll have to show it to you.
Yeah, you have to, you have to. Was it
And
like an outline or did it actually look like a person?
no, it's he's completely there.
Oh
He's a
wow.
little bit transparent, like you can see through him. And from just kind of doing the calculations of looking at the photo, this guy is probably about almost 6 foot tall in the door frame. So a lot taller than me. And he was wearing, it almost looked like costume kind of wear, but it looked like a robe. And he had like it looked like a pin that was hanging off of his hands. You could see like a wedding band on his hands. Um,
Oh, that's detailed.
yeah, you can really see all the details in it. I'll have to show it to you.
That's
And then
way
the other
cool.
one is of a shadow, and it's a man with a hood on in the window, and this is in Salem. Again, I was working on that same documentary, and I was doing the house next door to this. And the house, it was like in the garden doing photos, and the property next door was an abandoned property. It was a house they were getting ready to knock it down. It had like one of those big construction fences around it, um, because they were getting ready to bulldoze it. And I just happened to see something move from the corner of my eye and just felt something. So I panned the camera around that I had and just shot the house. And of course, up in a window on the second floor, I caught that image.
Aren't they always on the second floor?
I know. So I'll show that to you
That's
too.
way cool. That's way
Yeah,
cool. And you didn't realize it till after till you saw the pictures
right.
that you
Hmm.
didn't capture it, but you could feel it.
I could feel it, but I couldn't, I didn't see it. Well, the one in Salem, I saw something out, like movement,
Hmm.
but yeah, I didn't see anyone standing there though.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially with all this technology and everything that's not going to be able to be seen more and more, I think.
Hmm.
Maybe good because some people need to see things to believe.
Right. Well, I could definitely send those to you. I don't know if you have anywhere you can post those or something, but I could
That'd be
definitely send
cool.
those to you.
So I'd like to ask, what do you think some of your biggest obstacles that you've had to overcome in your life to get to where you are now?
Gosh, I had kind of a hard life. So there was the whole stuff with my parents. My father's dead. I don't know where my mom is right now. Um, let's see, I lost a significant other throughout my life, and that was very hard. Um, I've had cancer, so I survived cancer.
Yes. And you're so young to be this cancer survivor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what changed me from med school to communications. Um, went through a tornado,
Where was that at?
Nashville. That's how I ended up in Las Vegas.
Well, I'm the tornado expert coming from Oklahoma, so yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's been kind of a rough road.
Yeah, but it's you can channel all that to go into all the stuff with your mediumship and channel that into something positive for sure because you know what the pain is like and you know what all that feels like.
Yeah, and I think, your earlier question about how do I view, I think the question was, how do I view healing
Hmm.
in spiritualism? I think that's just
Spiritual
it.
healing as it helps
Yeah,
you. Uh-huh.
all the stuff that I went through, I could be just totally angry right now and completely different than what I am, but I think all of that stuff has helped me learn how to help other people around me, if
And
that
makes you
makes sense.
empathetic and
Yeah.
compassionate. Yeah, yeah, it totally makes sense. So where do you see the future of your mediumship and your art going?
That I'm not 100% sure. I know I want to work on a documentary just to show what real mediumship is about with spirit work and working with spirit to help others around you instead of just, the what we're seeing on television right now, where it seems like it's more out to impress people and for paychecks, pretty much. Like I want to get down to the spiritual side of it, the healing side of it, and how it can help other people. And that's what I aspire to do. And I want to write kind of a book about that as well. Um, I don't know if can do gallery work. I don't know. There's a couple people trying to talk me into doing that. Um, I definitely want to start doing more spirit art though
Yeah,
with
totally.
clients.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, not everybody can do that, and you definitely you can. So it would definitely be something I think you should continue for sure. And
Yeah,
yeah, there's been shows of Lily Dell. We've had some documentaries on HBO and CNN. It's important to get the real word out there of what this is about and what we are about. And as far as spiritualism, that we are an actual religion,
mhm.
that spiritual healing, is part of our religion, and mediumship is part of the religion of spiritualists. And there's a lot of confusion and a lot of misconception about it. So it'd be really good to have yet another any other kind of documentary that really focuses on the true nature of what it is we are and who we are.
Right.
The fact that it is about healing and it's about helping. All this work is about that.
It
And,
is.
and I
Mhm.
really think most people that come to Lilydale, even myself included, when I first got here, I mean, I needed to heal from my years of work. And I think many people that come into that gate, they're just here because they need to heal.
Yeah. I think too, though, a lot of people confuse mediumship with psychic
Oh,
too.
yes.
And I think that's another whole topic I want to write about as well. Because, we're not, well, at least I'm not a psychic. I can't predict the
Your
lottery or
future and
anything like that.
we're not, yeah, we're not fortune tellers.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if he's cheating on you. And if you even think that, though, you shouldn't be with him anyway. But
Right?
the typical questions you always get.
Right. Yeah, yeah, a lot of that. And then no, you always have to usually explain, and we've been taught that to explain to people what the difference is between psychic and mediumship. Clear difference for sure. So what would you consider as your greatest accomplishment so far?
Oh, I guess making it this far, just, I mean, really, I know it sounds funny, but
No, I don't mean funny.
all this stuff I've been through, here I am still, and I'm not a complete mess. As funny as that sounds, I know it sounds
No, you're
sounds
right about
funny.
that. You could be in a far different place than where you are right now for everything you've been through.
Yeah,
And
I could be just completely angry person.
well, that's the difference between a survivor and someone that's not a survivor also, and that you're willing to fight for the life you want.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you did all of that.
Hmm.
And the fact that you've wrote 2 books already and you just keep talking about writing more and doing more. So I think you have a huge future in front of you. Just a huge future without telling your future. Just saying. So what else would you like the audience to know?
Mm, I don't know.
Is there anything interesting you could tell us about all your travels?
Oh, there's so many things. So I don't know what's more interesting. I went to Romania,
Yeah, that's cool.
and explored the gypsy culture there and their healing. They're very natural based. So all of their healing is from drawing the energy from the environment and the earth. It's really interesting. Um, I went through Transylvania and got to see Bran Castle and Corvin Castle, all these different places. Um, where else have I been?
You've been
I've
a
been to
lot of places.
Prague,
I like going to
Germany.
live vicariously through your travels.
I don't know. I live in Vegas, so I love to kind of explore all the old ghost towns, the mining ghost towns and camps and things.
Can you tell the audience what your first book was about? Because I found that interesting.
Oh, speaking of shadows.
Yeah.
So I lived in New Orleans for a little while, and right after Katrina, and it was because I was working, I was covering Katrina at the time. I was kind of following FEMA around and helping them. Well, I wasn't helping them, I was kind of documenting them cleaning up. But part of staying there is I got to kind of explore the outside a little bit. And About 45 minutes outside of New Orleans, there's a place called River Road, and it follows to Mississippi. And along that road, there's probably about a dozen to 15 old sugar plantations that were built from the 17th century. So they're pretty old. They're like 300, 400 years old. And all of these places have very strange legends and tales surrounding them. So I kind of taken all of those tales from all of these different properties and kind of made it into one book. But one story in particular is of this lady named I think her name is Molly Brown. I know the last name for sure is Brown, but she was a slave, and of course, she had like a lot of animosity because of that. And she would say stuff like when she died, she was going to take the entire town with her. Well, a hurricane came through and did level that part of the town. It's not like a town, but I forget what you call it. It's not a village, it's not a town. They have a name for it, where it's
Huh.
like a little settlement, I guess. Um, but this hurricane, it leveled the entire, and of course, this hurricane came the same night. I had to look this up again because I think originally when I told you the story, she had died a couple days later. It
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
same
you'd said
night.
that. Yeah.
It was the same night.
It's the same night. Wow.
Same night, yes.
Oh,
But yeah, she would say stuff like when she died, she was going to take the whole town with her. Well, when she did die that night, a hurricane came through and it did. It blew down the whole town. But all of those properties are surrounded by really strange tales of curses and just all sorts of things. So I kind of just collaborated them all into one and made a story about it.
yeah, I love that. Creativeness of you. That's very, very cool. Um, so can you tell everybody how they can find you and find out more about you?
Yeah, so I'm pretty friendly. If you reach out to me, I'm always going to email you back. You can find me at clthomas.org. I'm real fun. It's easy to find me.
And your books are on Amazon, you said?
Yes, they're on Amazon. You can also get them from my website if you want to do that. I can sign it for you and things like that.
That's cool.
Um,
And I can't wait for the day that you come to Lilydale.
yeah, I want definitely this summer. I'm
Yeah,
gonna come
that'll be
here this
so
summer.
fun. I think it'll be a great experience for you and the vibe and everything else that everybody says about Lilydale. I think you're gonna wrap yourself up in it and you're gonna
You
love it.
know, I definitely want to see what, we don't have a spirituals church here in Vegas. So I want to go and explore that a little more as well. So I look
Yeah,
forward to that.
there's many pockets throughout the United States that do not have spiritualist churches in them for sure. I guess it's a good thing why so many churches are offering hybrid services now, so it makes it available to many people. So yeah. Well, I think we've said it all, and I really appreciate you being with me today. Um, if anybody has any questions or comments, they can write it on the Facebook comments, and we'll look at it and we can answer them. Um, I guess that's it. If you don't have anything else,
I
then
don't, not this
what's
time.
your cat's name?
Oh, this is Loki. I'm sorry, you guys.
That's okay.
I forgot to lock him out.
Loki was just bound and determined to be here tonight, just bound
Ah,
and determined. Oh, you're pretty. I'm telling you, yeah. We're cat lover friendly here in Lilydale, that's for sure. Thanks. Well, thank you
that-
so much for joining me. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Um, I'll be back here again in 2 weeks for Enlightening Your Way, where my mission is to enrich your mind, body, and soul on your pathway to healthy living. Please visit this Lilydale Assembly page often so you can see everything that's going on here in Lilydale. And visit my page, Wellness with Nancy Lombardo, and my Instagram, nancy.k.lombardo. Thank you so much, CL, for being with us this evening. I've really enjoyed our chat. You've been lovely. Um, thank you all, and I will see you all next time. Good evening.